Welcome back. Moving on to other conversations this morning. In a budget proposal for the 2023 supplementary budget, the federal government of Nigeria has stirred controversy by allocating 5.095 billion naira for the purchase of a presidential yacht and 5.5 billion naira for an education loan fund. These allocations have triggered widespread discussions about the allocation of resources and priorities amid economic challenges and educational needs. According to details obtained from the 2023 supplementary appropriation, the Nigerian Navy is set to receive a capital expenditure of 42.3 billion naira and a recurrent expenditure of 20.42 billion naira, totaling 62.8 billion naira. This budget includes funding for various purposes, such as the purchase of vehicles, the construction of naval bases in Lekki and Ekpe, and the procurement of critical equipment and ammunition. The Education Loan Fund, an essential part of the Access to Education Act, was proposed by the government to address the chronic issues of funding and industrial actions in Nigerian higher institutions. The law, passed by the 9th National Assembly and signed into law by President Tinubu, aims to provide interest-free loans to students in higher institutions and put an end to the recurring disruptions in the educational system. Nigerian universities have been plagued by recurrent industrial actions, leading to substantial disruptions in academic calendars. The proposed student loan program, set to begin in January 2024, is seen as a crucial step towards resolving these issues and ensuring stability in higher education. The budgetary allocations have sparked debate about the government's priorities, with some questioning the wisdom of funding a presidential yacht amid educational challenges and the need to address industrial actions in the universities. The debate underscores the complex choices facing the government as it balances diverse national needs in the 2023 supplementary budget. To have this conversation with us this morning is Taiwo Hassan Soweto. He's an educational rights activist. Good morning, Taiwo. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, the last time you were here, we were talking about the student loan bill, and of course we're still talking about it till now. And you did mention, because then the news had broken, that the president said no matter what it takes, the student loan initiative would kick off by January 2024. And you left us with a statement that if you hadn't verified it at the time we were talking about it here, I mean, the fact that the president is saying it will kick off, but if he said a thing like that, then it means all the meetings with your organization has, are being kicked or swept under the carpet. Yeah. And you said that you would take it up. So it's beautiful having you here again, seeing that, there's been a new development to the whole education story. Nigerians have cried out to the, seeming misplacement of priorities while spending so much money on frivolities as described on, other media platforms. Funding a yacht at this time where the educational system is in peril, almost under great dilapidation. Yeah. How do you want to put all this together and give us your reaction?
Well, first and foremost, I think it underscores what I've always said each time I've had the opportunity of addressing national issues. And it is the fact that all of the multifaceted problems facing this country, they are not a product of an act of God. They are man-made. They're a product of a system run by a certain caliber of people whose interest does not align with the interest of the majority of the nation. Rather, their interest is to continue to utilize this vast wealth that the country has for their own personal enrichment. And I think that is the only conclusion that any objective and thinking mind can draw from the supplementary budget that the government has just signed. Because at a period of enormous and great national crisis, you would think that a budget of that nature will be solely targeted at addressing all of these concerns. especially at a period when a government has told Nigerians that we all need to tighten our belts because there are certain economic measures that need to be taken to, address the problems facing the economy. And you will be amazed that while the rest of us have no bet at all to even tighten since May 29 of this year, because of the ill wind of economic crisis that we have been faced with, many families are practically, hungry without any food at all. You have a ruling elite that is not just allocating, because the media has focused on the presidential yacht, and it is, for me, even the least of the ridiculous provision that you have in the supplementary budget. In that same budget, the government is asking for 4 billion to renovate the presidential lodge, 2.5 billion to renovate that of the vice president, 1.5 billion to buy vehicles for the office of the first lady, a very illegal and illegitimate office, as well as similar provisions like that. And you have to ask yourself, somebody just left the State House May 29, less than 10 months ago. Did that person destroy the entire State House while they were living? Did they carry all of the furnitures? How much is 2.5 billion? What can 2.5 billion say not build a huge mansion? But you want to use it to renovate a presidential lodge. And if you begin to look into the nitty-gritty of this, you are going to see that there's nothing wrong with the presidential lodge, except that the new people who have called me don't like the color of the curtain, or they don't like the size of the TV, so it has to be changed, or because they must not use the same thing that somebody was there. So when you look at that level of frivolity as being exhibited by those who are asking the rest of us to tighten our belt because this economy to be set right, and they are using our money to pay for such frivolity, you can't be a thorough human being if you are not as angry as I am, even while hearing this. Because we are being taken for granted. We are ruled by people who think that we are even less than animals. Because any one of us who have dealt with farm animals before, you have pets, you know that there's a limit even for animals when it comes to endurance. But the people who are ruling us don't even think that we have the intelligent quotient of farm animals. Otherwise, we will not be having this kind of situation that we are having, where on the basis of the economic devastation that all of us faces today, a budget of this nature can even be discussed, presented, and signed into law. And yet, the street of Nigeria is not yet up with mass of people on the street, on strike, and protesting. And I think that is where we need to get to. But when you then square it up with the question of the student loan, it even becomes even more, as far as I'm concerned, painful. Because the whole idea of the student loan is based on the argument, which I have said is specious, is hard to believe, it is completely false, to put it clearly, that the government of Nigeria is cash-strapped and is unable to fulfill its social responsibility towards the funding of education. That is the basis, the argument around which the question of the student loan has been framed. So if that same government has money to renovate a house that is still existing with 2.5 billion, and you have 5 billion to buy vehicles for an illegitimate office of the first lady, then how can that same government legitimately argue that there's no money? And that for us is the reason why in January we are prepared to equally confront the government on the street around the student loan, because we believe that the government does not mean well for Nigerian students. We have done enough to explain the contradictions of the student loan, and we have tried to utilize advocacy, to be able to make those in power to see reason